I'm really concerned about a judge. Whether it doesn't matter if it's the marriage issue or what issue, it doesn't matter. What if it was the other side and it was their issue? You know, I don't mind talking.
I'm coming by the Nom tour trackers.
Yeah,
hey guys.
I told you knew us.
Yeah, they said that you knew them.
Oh, I know him well. You follow us everywhere.
There you go. He's a great guy. Very nice guy. Very nice guy. But the problem that I see is that if a group of people, whether you're pro or con, it doesn't matter. If the state of California had voted and said marriage in the state of California is open to anyone, it's not going to be just a marriage, and you made that rule, and that was the law. You voted for it. You were the majority, and then one single judge, what you might call, you call him a right-wing fanatic. Some judge comes in and says, you know, I don't really care what you think. My belief is what's going to rule. So I'm going to strike down your law. Now, he does not have the authority to do that.
Why not?
Because he cannot supersede the state people, the state. That is a state constitutional thing. This is a federal judge saying this is a federal law. This has to do with the federal. It does not. This is a state. And if you start taking all of your state's rights away, forget what it's about.
So let me ask you a question. And we're talking about the role of the judiciary, and specifically the federal judiciary in our lives. What if we flip your hypothetical around? What if all of a sudden you were the minority as a Christian, as a woman, as a white person? Imagine that world.
Well, it's getting there.
Right. And so shouldn't it be extra important, considering where the demographics of this nation are going, for a person like you to want to protect minority rights? So, like, if you can imagine a world in which white women, Christians aren't the majority, would you really want a society that would allow people to vote to limit your rights?
I don't think that this has nothing to do with a right. This is a position. A marriage isn't a right. Marriage isn't a right.
Well,
it is not.
It's a fundamental right for heterosexual couples.
Marriage isn't a right. Marriage is a contract between two people it's God's law. It's a natural law that they come into.
So there's civil marriage and then there's religious marriage, which I think there are two different things. Right?
I don't really know that. All I know is that I look at God's law, and I look at nature and natural law, and I look at that. I don't look at it as, it's not a rights issue. It never has been a rights issue.
So, just to push back you a little bit, the United States Supreme Court has decided that marriage is a fundamental right. And because it's a fundamental right, you can't, do things like, for example, if your husband were to get into some legal trouble, you have the right to not testify against him. We endow all these rights, right, regardless of what religion you are. So, like, when I decide to go get married and I'm actually heterosexual, I'll go down to the state to get a civil license, and then I'll go to the church or the place of worship that I choose. Might not be your church.
May not be a church at all.
May not be a church at all to go get married.
Right.
But those are two very separate things. It's the license, and then it's the ceremony and everything that goes along that, the counseling and the prayer. That's separate than the state saying, your rights are limited on this issue. And that's different than a majority saying we have the right to limit your rights.
Well, I don't think, of course, we'll always disagree on this, but I think that same things we did here in Florida. In Florida, the majority of the people said we believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. That's what the majority of people said here. And so that is the state's law. That's what we decided.
Right. Now, so like when the states were deciding, 70 years ago, 60 years ago, whether or not to integrate schools.
You're talking about discrimination on people because of color. I'm not talking about.
Let me get to my question. So I'm not really talking about that. I want to sort of I want to make another analogy.
Yeah.
But the majority of the American public, when Brown v. Board of Education was decided,
right,
or when Loving v. Virginia, the interracial marriage decision was decided, the majority of the American public at that time was against mixing of the races. Yet the Supreme Court, the federal courts, stepped up and led and said, no, it's not okay to discriminate and limit the rights of black people. So the courts led public opinion. If we were to go to the states and have a vote on it, black people would have lost, and that system of oppression and that system of segregation and discrimination would have persisted. In that case, it was okay. You would agree for the courts to say, no, this is wrong.
I think there are certain things that have been happening in this country that are wrong. Period. Full stop. But it doesn't mean that this is wrong. There are things that's happened in our nation. I mean, the civil rights movement was about a wrong that was created, and we turned it
for gay and lesbian people. It might feel like the same kind of wrong.
They do not want equal rights. They want me to accept this as a normal lifestyle, and I would never do that.
I think a lot of them would care less whether or not you accept it.
No, you're wrong.
You know, I could care less about how many racist people there are in the world.
Yeah.
What I care about is my right to go to a school that I want to go to, or get a degree that I want to get to.
Absolutely.
I could care less if you're walking around in your Klan outfit. As far as I'm concerned,
Lord,
I could care less. I could care less.
I would care if I saw somebody walking around with a Klan outfit. I can tell you right now, I would care.
Well, I could care less because it's about the states. It's about the state not endorsing that Klansman's behavior. I expect the state to act differently than the
And that's exactly the way we feel about marriage outside of a man and a woman. To say that something that God has ordained is wrong. Whether it's, look, I look at homosexual and gay marriage the same as I do with people who commit adultery. I put it in the same category as people who live, shack up, whatever you call it, outside of marriage. I put all those in the same. A homosexual sin relation is no worse or better to me than someone who goes out and cheats on their wife.
Yet someone who goes and cheats on their wife in a heterosexual relationship, you wouldn't vote to limit their right to get married. That's the difference.
No. But marriage has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with that. I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Do you think that there would be any positive consequences if gay and lesbian couples were allowed to get married?
I think it would eventually destroy the whole fabric of our society. I think it would destroy the family totally. What's the main purpose of the family? Is procreate, right? To have children. Most marriages.
But that's not the reason that we allow people to get married.
No, I'm not saying that we allow the reason. That was when God created.
You are sort of saying that. You're saying that.
Well,
you're
I'm saying that
people should, if they're going to get married, they should be able to procreate.
No, well, they should be able to.
So what about sterile people? What about older people?
Listen,
about...
wait. I'm saying that's how God created it. It doesn't mean that you're less of a human being if you and your husband decide not to have children.
That's what you're sort of saying.
No.
A gay couple or a lesbian couple decides not to have children, that they're people, that they're not worthy of that institution.
But there's no way a lesbian couple can have a child.
There are ways that a lesbian couple can have a child.
Artificially, adoption and stuff like that, but not a natural way. You cannot have a child. They cannot have a sexual relation and have a child. No, they cannot. There has to be something artificial there. I'm a nurse. I can tell you.
Does there have to be something artificial there?
There has to be something done. You can't have two male men having a baby.
But again, if I'm a heterosexual straight woman who needs to have some sort of artificial insemination, you wouldn't use that as a reason to limit my right to marry.
The thing about it is, I don't limit anybody's right to anything.
You do.
No, I don't.
Did you vote?
I have a right to vote my conviction. You have a right to vote yours. You have a right to vote yours. That's my right. And my right says, I'm going to go what God has put in the Bible, what God says is truth. And that's what I fight for, is truth. Whether it's killing unborn babies, to me we fight against that. We fight against the protection of marriage and children. We fight against, this is not concerned women's only issue. We fight, the pornography industry is destroying families. Also,
is divorce destroying families?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so this is what's like, I can't wrap my head around. So we have this institution, marriage, that's like fighting for survival, essentially. You know what I mean? 50% of people don't take it seriously or just leave them whenever they want, all that sort of thing. And then there are these like thousands, millions of people that want to be in a committed, monogamous relationship, that want to be supportive, that want to support one another.
Why do they need to have it called marriage? Why can't they just...
Because they grew up in households with parents that value marriage and they value marriage.
No, I don't believe that.
Why don't you believe that they value marriage? Why would they be trying to do this?
I think it is a movement. I think it's something that they feel like that they feel like they need to impose on me, her, whatever, that they want us to accept that. No, I don't believe
So
that.
what evidence do you have to support that they don't want to get married?
I tell you what, I worked, the place that I used to work years ago, my secretary is gay. He wanted nothing to do with this kind of stuff.
Do you know any straight men that don't want to get married? Just curious. Do you know any straight men that don't want to get married? I know a lot.
I don't know.
You know that whole bachelor thing?
No.
You've met, you don't know anybody in your life who is single and above the age of 30?
Well, I know a lot of people above the age of 30.
And so do you know any heterosexual or straight people that choose not to marry? Because for whatever reason.
Or most of the people
They have
my age are like
trust
60 years old, so they're either married or not married.
But you know those people exist. I'm not describing.
All right, I gotta go.
Can I just get your name and your organization?
Yeah, there it is. Concern Terry Johanannsan.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
I appreciate
God
it so
bless you.
much.